since you came.
Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 Out today. Got some more first impressions for you guys. That's right, this time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Witch of the Mere, Tenebria, and boy oh boy, is she going to be absolutely devastating for the meta. And we'll get into her skills and all of her potential shenanigans in a bit. Obviously, we're going to be talking about her star sign, we're going to be breaking her down, potential builds, potential gears, and things that you can run with her. And we will also be covering the new Summer Bystander Hua Young as well in the next video. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and, give this video a like if you like these first impression breakdowns. So let's go ahead and start with Witch of the Mere Tenebria's base stats. She is going to be a 5-star light elemental mage of the Pisces star sign. Now, the Pisces star sign is relatively speedy here. She does have 120 base speed. Now, if you're looking at the stat line, you're going like, wait a minute, this looks a little bit different than what I recall from the original preview. It's because this is a re-upload and they did correct a bunch of mistakes. The correction here is that she used to have effectiveness in her awakenings, but she doesn't actually have any. She starts with 0 effectiveness. Good base speed at 120 and no crit rate or crit damage, so that means she is going to be mainly a debuffer type of unit, and we'll definitely see that with her kit. But if you're wondering, hey, Nazo, what's another unit that is a Pisces mage that we might be familiar with? And, well, that pretty much boils down to one option, and it's Festive Ida out of all units, right? So Festive Ida here, typically people build her with some form of effectiveness. I actually don't have her fully geared here. Let me just go ahead and slap a piece on so you guys can see what she kind of looks like. I'll just do something like this, right? So this is typically how a Festive Ida is built, 250 something speed. You can build her faster, right? Some people have her 280, 290 speed, and she can easily manage that. So you'll see that, you can build her pretty tanky and with decent amount of speed with a good chunk of effectiveness. So even though she doesn't awaken into any effectiveness here, you can see there's an additional 152 effectiveness being added on. It's no big deal. It's gonna be pretty easy to get the stats that you need onto your Tenebria. So yeah, typically speed and hit set is what Festive Idas are gonna be running. You're probably gonna be running something similar with Tenebria, and we'll get into her sets later on, but typically speed is going to be the way to go. So not much in terms of a comparison there. It's only Festive Ida. No other unit has that type of star sign combination, at least of the 5-star variety. But yeah, so Tenebria is going to be pretty good at debuffing, and that base speed is definitely going to help her out a lot. Let's go ahead and jump to the skill introduction here, where her skill 3, Mirror of the Abyss. She traps all enemies in a timeless space beyond the mirror, dispelling 2 buffs before inflicting block for 2 turns, and a random debuff for 1 turn. She will increase combat readiness of herself by 50%. Now this is disgusting, right? The only other unit that has block in their kit is Brigitte. And if you don't know who Brigitte is, that's because she is not good. Brigitte is not used at all because she is a very lackluster kit. She, though, was essentially the reason that block exists in the game, and if you're not familiar with what block does, let's just head on over to Brigitte, and let's go ahead and take a look. If we go to Brigitte, she is a Ice Soul Weaver, right? So there she is, Brigitte. She is the only unit with block in the game, and here it is. So block is unaffected by any buffs, some beneficial effects, and dispel debuff effects, except when granted by the bearer. This applies to heroes only. If you're unsure of what that means, it's basically a better unbuffable. You are unable to be buffed, right? You can't benefit from some beneficial effects. This could range from things like combat readiness pushes and stuff like that, right? Those are also beneficial effects that aren't necessarily buffs. And you cannot have any debuffs dispelled. You can't be cleansed unless you are doing it yourself, right? So if you are using a unit and they get blocked and they don't have any self-cleansing skills, they cannot get unblocked. Keep that in mind. It is disgusting. Now, Brigitte has this, but she is only for a single target skill, right? It's only for a single target. Tenebria is an AoE block, and it has a 100% chance to apply. So that is the biggest part of her kit, and the part that people are not very excited about, because that it will shut down many a unit, right? Typically when you get debuffed on your units, you'll have a cleanser on the team that can cleanse everything, and then you're all good, you can continue playing. Nope, not when block is applied, and on a relatively high base speed unit, you're looking at a lot of units just essentially getting locked out of the game, right? Especially with the other debuffs that you can get. So she also inflicts a random debuff for 1 turn. It's a 100% chance to apply, and these are all debuffs that make you lose a turn. You can get stunned, sleeped, and redirected provoked. So that essentially makes your unit skip their turn entirely, and they cannot do anything. Keep in mind, when you get stunned, you're also blocked, so you cannot cleanse. Okay, unless the unit's cleansing themselves. And in most cases, units that cleanse have to use an active skill, so if you're stunned or asleep, you can't cleanse anything, right? Even if you're a Soul Weaver, you can't do anything about it. So this is actually incredibly devastating, and an amazing, amazing control skill, right? Not only that though, let's move on into her skill number 2. It's an active skill, not a passive. It's called Consuming Grasp. After inflicting Rupture on all enemies for 2 turns, 100% chance to apply by the way, attacks all enemies and has it up to a, I believe this is a 100% chance if you awaken right here with the skill Enhance, up to 100% chance to inflict Restrict for 2 turns. You also grant Stealth and a barrier that's proportional to your level to the caster for 2 turns. This is really strong. If you're wondering what Rupture is going to be a new skill, a new debuff, that says when attacked, inflicts additional damage proportional to the max health, right? We do have a skill that actually resembles this right here. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get to the character right here, because, oh boy, do you remember this control unit, guys? We got Lua. That's right. With Lua, you had the effect on her S3 to inflict Beguile. Beguile says at the end of the turn deals additional damage to all allies except for the bearer, equivalent to 10% of their respective max health. Okay? This also dispels itself after the effect is activated. But when we go back and when we take a look at Tenebria, we can see that Tenebria's skill does not get dispelled, right? This says when attacked, inflicts additional damage proportional to the max health. It'll get dispelled after getting attacked. However, this is not like Beguile where you get to wait for your opponent to take a turn and then it hits everybody else. This is just whenever you're attacked, you will just take a percentage of your health as damage. This is huge, okay? A lot of damage potential coming out here from non-DPS units. Taking a percentage of your max health is no laughing matter, right? There's a reason why poison is banned in PvE content. Essentially, all bosses are immune to poison, because poison will just chunk down bosses for percentages of their health. Daydream Joker, which takes 3% of the boss's health anytime you attack them. That artifact also doesn't work against a lot of bosses nowadays, because they're all immune to proportional to their HP damage. So Rupture here is a really easy way to just shred through high HP knights, right? Even if it's a 10% like Beguile is, if a knight has 30k health, that's 3,000 damage for absolutely nothing, right? For just getting poked. So I don't know what the actual percentage is. I think some people are saying it's like 12%, but anyway, 10 to 12%, even 15%, the higher the number, the better the skill becomes. This is really powerful, right? Especially when I talk about her S1. So let's get to that in just a second. But the fact that she stealths herself and grants a barrier to herself for 2 turns, That is huge because it's super hard to break units out of stealth when they have a barrier. This barrier, by the way, is proportional to level, so it doesn't necessarily scale with HP or with attack. You can actually build her with whatever gear you want. You'll be getting a set barrier, which is really good. This makes her builds a lot trickier to deal with, essentially. Stealth is only able to be dispelled when the person's hit, and you have to hit them with an AoE, because they're probably stealthing and hiding behind other units, right? So you can't hit anybody else who's stealth unless you get rid of all the non-stealth units first. Stealth also gives you 50% damage reduction to AoE hits, so the fact that you have a giant barrier protecting you while you're in stealth means Tenebria is gonna be really, really hard to hit, unless you're like dispelling buffs and such from her. Good luck doing that when you're stunned, sleeped, or redirected provoked though, right? Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at her skill number 1. Her skill 1, and oh my god, and just can we pause for a moment and just look at this disgusting thing on the other side. Actually, I take that back. They didn't even actually state this. Rupture lasts for 2 turns. Look at this. Yeah, I was right when it said it wasn't going to be dispelled. Rupture lasts for 2 turns. So if you keep hitting them, you will just keep chunking their health down. It's nasty. They are running Magic Bubble Maker, which is Festivita's artifact, funnily enough. The fact that they share the same star sign, but Magic Bubble Maker also inflicts other additional random debuffs, right? So, skill 1. Mirror Fragment. She's able to attack the enemy with a mirror with a 75% chance, it's up to 100% chance if you skill enhance it, to inflict 1 random debuff for 1 turn. When Mirror of the Abyss is on cooldown, or S3, triggers a dual attack from the ally with the highest attack. Okay, and so the random debuffs that she can grant are Poison, Decreased Speed, and Decreased Defense. Because of course, why not add a defense break in there to just more easily screw you over? Oh, and because you're restricted, let's put a minus speed down as well, so you can't take the turn. Poison just because screw you, we're just going to take more of your percentage of your max health away. But yeah, quite a devastating kit with these debuffs. You saw the amount of debuffs on the other side. And again, keep in mind, if you're unable to cleanse yourself, you're just gonna lose your turns, and your cleansers can't cleanse you either, okay, because of block. The Soul Burn effect. Now, thankfully, they did not put the Soul Burn on the S3, where you get to ignore resistance. They really, I can see the programmers here sweating, and they really want to put it there, but then they held back. Good. The Soul Burn still takes 20 souls, but it grants her an extra turn. The problem with this is it's still really strong because she guarantees a dual attack with the ally with the highest attack. So, you know what you can do? You can just S1 and like take another turn and just S1 again. You'll just dual attack twice with the highest attack unit. It's not random, by the way. And if your highest attack unit happens to be a unit that's AoE, we'll see here, then with Rupture on your opponent's side, you're just going to be taking like 10% of their max health off of every single unit on their team just twice. That is incredibly strong. Look, Bellion is attacking here. Look at that Rupture damage, right? This additional damage here coming from Rupture, imagine if Bellion was on 3F, okay? Just imagine attacking twice with the Tenebria. It's absolutely disgusting. This is probably the best control unit we've ever seen in the game, and that's saying something because New Moon Luna exists, right? Yeah, absolutely disgusting unit. Highly recommend pulling for her, just without even going to anything else. Probably want to pull for her. She is really powerful. Now, if you want to hold off for ML Roz, who may or may not have the ability to come in and, you know, nullify passives or full cleanse or ignore things, I don't know what he's gonna do, but I hope it's something good, because if Tenebria is this good, and she overshadows Roz, that would be a bit of a problem, right? Okay, but enough about Tenebria and her skill kit. Let's go ahead and talk about, well, potential gear that you could be running on her, right? A potential build. She is, by the way, going to be available on, what was this date that they said over here? I believe it's, yeah, July 10th. Okay, so you guys got about a week and a half before we all devolve into chaos in RTA. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Epic 7 here, and let's go back to Festive Ida. So, Festive Ida, right, with the same exact stat line, you could run Tenebria on Book, by the way. Book is a fantastic, let's just talk about the artifacts first. Book is a fantastic artifact to be running on her. I actually do not have Festive Ida's artifact, the Bubble Maker, but if you have Bubble Maker, that's also pretty decent, has some pretty good debuffs on there, and can really help in the control aspect. Again, especially if the opponent can't cleanse because of block, that's going to be really strong. So, Abyssal Crown, I can definitely see being another option that is really good because you're going to be attacking everyone with AoEs, right? You can Soulburn to take extra turns, extra chances to potentially stun people. So Abyssal Crown is also very, very powerful in that regard. Because she's dual attacking, right, you'll be bringing along your teammates. Bringing Book is probably, again, just the best bet here because you'll be able to provide yourself with a guaranteed dual attack twice, or you can just have the Book for your DPSs or whoever your supporting characters are to use as well. I don't necessarily know if you'd go for something like an Etika Scepter. I know Etika Scepter is an option. Let's see where my plus 31 is so you guys can get a better idea of it. There it is. Etika Scepter, 50% chance to decrease skill cooldown by 1 at the beginning of the turn. Yeah, she's a mage, so you can just really quickly cycle if you're lucky with Etika Scepter and you're fast. You can just turn cycle her and just keep getting the block debuff up before your opponents can move. Because remember, they're restricted, they have a speed down, they have nothing that they can do to stop you. And after your S3, you gain 50% combat readiness, so you're already turn cycling quite quickly in that regard as well. So yeah, definitely think Etika Scepter is worth testing. It's a bit RNG, but in the long run, on average, I think it will just get your S3 up much faster to the point where you can probably lock down your opponent almost permanently for the entire match, which is really disgusting. But yeah, those are kind of the options that I would suggest. And most people are probably going to be just throwing a Book on her here, and don't blame them. If you have access to a free Soulburn, why wouldn't you take it? But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Festive Ida. So let's take a look at the build. I would say speed, right? Speed and whatever other stuff you can muster. If you, like, I would just not even filter with this. Actually, here, hang on. Let's talk about the sets first. Before we jump into building, I'm already really excited. Speed set, number 1 set you're going to be using on her. Pretty much nothing else here is going to matter, right? You want to go for any set here that will just give you the fastest speed while some effectiveness. If you really care about having sets, HP set, hit set, defense set are all really good. You could potentially, like, I don't know if you really care about having immunity. You could go for an immunity build here, right? And just in case someone outspeeds you and tries to debuff you. And because you can stack it with like barriers on your team, with like, let's say you have a Fallen Cecilia on your team with barriers for everybody, you can kind of stack that, right, and protect your Tenebria from getting first turned. So that is something that you can consider. But in the long run, you're probably just going to go for anything that gives you the fastest speed. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the build. I would just go for speed substat and just sort by that, and just literally click on anything that would help you with the fastest amount of speed, right? So let's say we go with this. Let's kind of stick to speed sets if we can. Let's go for Firelitica's gear. It's probably a really good example of something you can pull off. I'll try to do this where I can try to build her as fast as humanly possible for my personal, with my personal gear here. Let's go for like effectiveness as a substat, right? I think we'll go for this one. Okay, so yeah, not the fastest thing ever, right? 307 speed. You're still gonna get outsped by the Fireliticas and the Rinox out there because it makes sense. They are much higher base speed, right? However, with this speed, you can also get a good amount of effectiveness. I will say you probably want to prioritize effectiveness a little bit more than this, though, because she can't ignore res and soul burn. So your effectiveness stat does matter. I don't necessarily know if I have anything that can really work here. You can obviously mod some of the things out for effectiveness. But yeah, this seems like the way to go. Yeah, this is probably the best I can do right now. So not bad. If you want to slow her down a little bit, you can definitely do that. This is just an example of the fastest potential build that you can have on her. If you want to prioritize speed but with effectiveness, oops, that's rage set, with effectiveness here, then we can go and take a look. Not really sure, maybe something... The problem is I'm just lacking a lot of pieces with speed and effectiveness. Could probably... No. See, you're kind of sacrificing more of the speed here. You might have better gear than me, so definitely if you have better gear with more effectiveness, go for it. It is really, really worth it, right, to be slapping this speed on her. You want her to go first. You want her to go first, block everybody. They can't buff, they can't do anything. They can't cleanse, and she's even better against, again, the units that cannot cleanse themselves, right? So, yeah, keep that in mind. I think the original example that we had, this is probably the best that I can do. So yeah, something along those lines. If you can't reach 300 speed, don't worry about it. Get her as fast as possible. 280, 290 speed, still good. The sooner she goes, the better. And if you have other supporting units that potentially push her up in combat readiness, that can also help you quite a bit too. Right? So when it comes to potential teammates, it does not matter what you bring with her. She doesn't soul burn to ignore res, so again, her artifact doesn't really matter either. Her teammates don't matter. It's not like you have to bring a bunch of mages with her. So yeah, but you can definitely bring in other units that lock down stuff like New Moon Luna that can seal. If you get the seal on your opponent, again, they can't cleanse, right? And all their passives, everything is going to be locked down. So you can also try to overwhelm your opponent with debuffs, with things like Silverblade Araminta. Why not just add more stuns on top of everything, right? Your Tenebria goes, your Silverblade Araminta comes up, let's say your Tenebria missed out some stuns, or sleeps, or redirected provokes. Araminta comes in, stuns everybody. Boom, boom, boom. You got some burns on there, you're attacking them for percentages of their max health with Rupture. Like, this is just crazy shenanigans that you can do. So Tenebria has a bunch of ways that you can use her. You can even run her with other things. These all happen to be light units, but Solitaria to lock down your opponent's like focus gains, fighting spirit gains if they like potentially cleanse themselves, right? And you don't want them to. Young Senyas, for example. Yeah, so many different options to go for. You can easily pair her with any unit that has Bastion of Perlucia as well. Bastion of Perlucia is an artifact that gives the unit in the backline immunity and a barrier for 2 turns. So this will help protect them from just getting randomly debuffed, especially if an opponent has a unit that strips 1 buff on their first turn. Then they'll strip the barrier before they strip the immunity. That's how the turn order, that's how buff stripping works in RTA, right? Immunity is usually the last one to get stripped at the start of the match. So you can definitely buff stack with units like this. A good good mitigation is always useful. Keep in mind, Rupture is going to be on your opponent for 2 whole turns. It's not just going to expire. You can just keep hitting them. So you don't have to bring really high DPS units. You could literally just go and bring some of your faster, speedier units. You can bring Firelyticas for the bleed procs, right? Rinnock, obviously really good for the speed there too. Lone Wolf Para for additional turn cycling. This will be really good with your Etika Scepter. You can keep turn cycling your Tenebria, keep cycling around, and then keep getting that S3 up. You can just keep on cycling through against your opponent. Seafan and Politis too. Oh my god, if you get Seafan and Politis here, who also dual attacks when she has a rage buff, right? She'll dual attack with the ally with the highest attack. Just imagine if you bring an AoE unit, let's say like a Bellion, who will keep attacking the opponent with 3F for fixed damage, right? Let's say she's your highest attack unit there. You're just going to keep dual attacking with her, and she's going to proc Rupture, she's going to proc 3F. You're just going to absolutely demolish your opponent through debuffs and control. But yeah, if you guys have any standout units that you think can counter Tenebria, do leave them in the comment section down below, because I would love to know. But with that being said though, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.